Good afternoon. It is the Nikki Maduro Show. Thanks for those who followed over from the Mark Thompson Show today. I appreciate it. Nikki, of course, it's a big, big day in the Maduro household. Today is surgery day for Marley. So my thoughts and heart are sitting in San Jose at a hospital room with the Maduro family as Marley undergoes a surgical procedure to help her in her fight against Crohn's disease. And I'm grateful to you for being here, even though Nikki is not here. We have great conversations together, but today it's just you and me. So hopefully you'll be participating in everything that is going on. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about today on the Nikki Maduro Show is whether you would be willing to fork out big money to stay in uh, a pod, Star Wars looking hotel pod. I feel like I just came from the Mark Thompson Show where we talked about so many serious things, and we will here on the Nikki Maduro Show too. But I wanted to start it off with something a little lighter, because apparently not a lot of people are coughing up this big money to stay in what looks like. I'm going to show you a picture of it. It looks like this. Here it is. Apparently, these rooms are $5,000 a night. You sleep in this little hole in the wall, and the rooms are super small. Usually, you think if you pay $5,000 a night for a hotel room, it would be rather spacious, right? Well, the whole thing is it's supposed to be like you're having a Star Wars experience. So you go, you stay in this tiny little pod, and you then when you go out of your room, you're greeted by all kinds of characters as if you were really aboard a ship, living in Star Wars and being part of some type of, Star Wars movie. Like you're in the movie. 5 grand. No, people aren't buying it. Apparently, not enough people with 5 grand want to sleep in that little orange pod. So Disneyland is cutting the prices at this Star Wars hotel experience in Florida near Disney World by 30%. I don't even know if that's enough to get me to sleep in that little orange pod. Maybe if I was a huge Star Wars fan, then perhaps I could see it. I don't know. I don't think that you're going to get me in that pod. What do you think? You guys in the chat. Let's take a look at what you have to say about whether you're gonna shell out big money. JR says, if it were really a Star Wars experience, you could pay for it in credits. That's right. You could pay for it in a different way. Uh, According to Vilma, no way, it looks like hostel living. Yeah, for $5,000 a night though, Vilma. Hostel living, but not on with a hostel price. That's for sure. I guess you could say it is a little hostile. Nick writing, imagine Darth Vader with halitosis bidding you good night. Or not. I don't want to. But I mean, I think that's part of the draw, Nick, is just, be immersing yourself in that whole world. That's really expensive. Ranting teacher, people are idiots. Yes. What people will pay for shocks me to no end. That's why there's ugly stuff in stores, ranting teacher, because people buy the craziest things. The lady Beatrice, Star Wars. Oh, did I say Star Trek? Because I always get them confused. My husband makes fun of me. Since I got married to a nerd, I have gotten better about that, but Star Trek, Star Wars, I tend to flip them. I do the same thing, by the way, with Yellowstone and Yosemite. I did it the other day on this very show. Star Wars. Yes, Star Wars. If I misspoke, my bad. I'm sorry. You know where that comes from. John says you'd have to pay me to stay there. Okay, so you wouldn't have to pay me to stay there, but you would have to make it super cheap. I'm telling you, that little orange bed, that does not look comfortable. If it's close to the Disney World park, because this is in Florida, then okay, maybe I'll pay you a couple 300 bucks a night to stay there. But it's not my first choice. Definitely not. John Slade says, just stay in the pod for that much. Hookers and blow. No, it doesn't come with the amenities that you're used to. Sorry, John. Eric writes, Star Wars fan, but nope, Disney experience has gone far downhill in the last years. Well, Eric, it seems like what they really are more interested in than providing the experience is sucking away your money. Honestly, it's every time you turn around, prices are going up and perks are going down, right? So it used to be you could get like they had different tiers of membership Now they've changed that, and you pay more for less. So if you were one of those people, and I know some people who do this, where they buy the Star Wars or the Disneyland membership because they go like every 2 or 3 months. They're going to Disneyland, and you have to pick the days that you get in, but you get 10% off your purchases, and discounts on meals and whatever. And for those people, it makes sense, because if they were going to go and pay regular prices, then they get, if over time, this whole, 1,000, $1,500 or more membership would, you know not pay for itself, but decrease the cost of going. But now they've decreased all the perks, and they've increased the cost of the membership and what you get when you sign up. So it just, not only with ticket prices and with the membership prices, and that I just mentioned, and the perks being cut, it just seems like all they really are out for is money. And I get that businesses are struggling, but come on, really? Nemen says, imagine if I suppose. Okay, I don't really want to imagine that, but I hear you. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, writes Mike. Uh, yeah, Disney, shaking my head. Okay, I can understand where they were going with it though, Mike. I mean, if you've got a lot of diehard Star Wars fans out there, right? So if you're one of those people that loves it, that absolutely just lives for Star Wars, I mean, I don't even know how many times my husband has watched these movies. If you're one of those people, maybe this is something for you, but is it $5,000 a night for you? No. And I think you really priced your fan base out of being able to go and enjoy that, because you're not going to stay one night, right? That's 5,000 a night. You're not going to stay one night. If you travel to Disney World, usually I would say you're maybe staying 3 nights, if not four. And so you're going to pay what, 20 grand to stay in an orange pod? I don't think so. The lady Beatrice says the Star Wars experience, you freaking bet I would. Okay, see, that's great. And I say, if you have the money, and if that would make your life better to spend it on that experience and to have that experience, then go get it, go do it. But I just don't, the lady Beatrice, I love you, but I just don't think a lot of people are going to cough up that much cash to stay in that orange pod. I don't know. Vilma, not enough cutting of the rate, 20 bucks a night. I think more than 20, maybe. So you have to pay all the characters to be there to provide the experience. Maybe I could see 400 a night, maybe 500, 5,000. No, thank you. Thank you very much. Put that money towards something important, says Nem. Hopefully not the Hostel movie experience. No, everyone always gets killed in the Hostel movie experience, don't they? Where's the toilet? It's probably around the corner. I think you get your own bathroom. I don't know how small that is though. And that's one of the complaints people were really having about this whole thing, is how small these rooms are for $5,000 a night. And you expect some grand, glorious Star Wars themed suite, and what you get is smaller than a normal hotel room, because you can see where they put the beds. So the room is really, really small. Nick says, when I was a child, confusing wars with Trek would start a war in my house. I'm sorry. I do my best. What can I say? Celeste, I know dudes who would pay the big bucks, not me though. Robert, it is in Florida near Disney World. That's where it is. Kim writes, your kids might want to sleep in those bunk beds, but give me a king. When I took my kids to, several years ago, I want to say 4 years ago, for my daughter's birthday, we went to Legoland, and they have like a normal size bed for grown-ups, and around the corner in most rooms are bunk beds for kids, and it's the best idea. It's The kids have their own area. There's a little TV there, there's toys, there's stuff for them to do. It's great. So yeah, the kids would probably love to sleep in those weird little pods. I, on the other hand, not so much. Walnut Creek adult softball. So what character cleans the room? I don't know. Maybe a scantily clad alien coming through? I'm not sure. Joseph, taking it to a serious note, I think it's sad that we have a population of people living on the sidewalk, and a population that can afford to spend 5 grand to play Star Wars. I don't begrudge people that have the money, the way they want it to spend it on, the way they want to spend it, to spend it, to do what they want with it, to have experiences maybe instead of stuff. A lot of people enjoy that more. Uh, and for some people, maybe it would be once in a lifetime experience. But I agree with Joseph in that there is this juxtaposition of people that have absolutely nothing save the garbage they can fit in a grocery cart, and people that can afford to go and, drop 5 grand a night to sleep in a pod. I get that. Uh, I don't know what we do about it. I think the first thing probably is not to vote for the, impending referendum coming up on the fast food measure we were just talking about on the Mark Thompson show. Not sure if you followed me over here from that, but they're trying to repeal that law. Heather says, "I'm a Disney, what's the old saying? A Disney fanatic, and their money will soon part." It's true. Yeah, the minute you walk into that place, done. Janet, "Oh, no, you don't go to the parks. It's all immersive, and you stay on site until you check out." Uh, I love staying at Disney hotels, I have to tell you. We've done budget situation at Disneyland for years, staying at the Tropicana across the street, which is really inexpensive, and then walking across the street into Disneyland. But recently had the opportunity to stay at the Grand Californian, and I've stayed at the Disneyland Hotel before. It is a world of difference, the enjoyment of the vacation, just being so close to the park, being immersed in Disney in the hotel room and the lobby and everywhere else. It feels special. So, I get wanting to spend the money and do that. For me, I would rather not go as often and have a nicer vacation that, provides a better experience than be somebody that goes all the time and just does it on the cheap. But everyone has a different way they work and have, what they prefer. Eric, yes, exactly, there's no magic. No, that's sad. So, still trying to read through these comments. Inflation blows. Yes, I agree. Kim writes, "I know Disney freaks that seem to go every few weeks." It seems like that. You see people that are always posting pictures of Disneyland. They just go and go and go. And that's their vacation of choice or their weekend destination of choice. I could see if you lived in Southern California or in Florida near the park, but there are people I know here in Northern California that make that trip all the time. Wes writes, "I live near it. It's actually in the park behind Galaxy's Edge, part of the park in Hollywood Studios." Wes, do you live in Florida? You must live in Florida because I think that's where this is. Um, yeah, well, it's a good thing you live near it so you don't have to pay $5,000 a night to stay in it. You can just go to the park on your own. John, I could travel in Europe for a month for $5,000. It's crazy. Ranting Teacher writes, "If you have that much disposable income to throw away, but stay in a tiny home for a homeless person or buy 10 tents and donate them." Uh, Best way to badmouth me, to insult me is to badmouth Star Wars. Star Wars is wonderful. It is a great movie. It is a great franchise. It's near to my heart also because of George Lucas being here in the Bay Area, industrial light and magic, and what that has meant for the Bay Area. Um, I'm not bad mouthing Star Wars at all. I'm just bad mouthing 5 grand a night to sleep in a little orange pod. That's what I get. Eric writes, "I prefer Star Wars to Star Trek as a fantasy, but if you ask me which I'd really rather live in, it's Trek all the way." Really? You'd rather live in Star Trek than Star Wars? So you would rather be on the Enterprise with Captain Kirk walking around than you would be in Star Wars with Chewbacca walking around? I don't know. I think, Eric, I'm picking Star Wars. I think that's where I'd go with that. Um, Eric says, "For 5 grand a night, I could buy my own R2 unit." Yes, this is true. So many good comments. I haven't even gotten to all of them, but I feel like we need to switch topics now. Armando, though, writes, "There's a reason it's called the most magical place on earth because your money disappears right when you get there. Poof! It's totally magic." Yes, indeed. So, yeah, I wanted to start with that because of the shocking uh, price cut of only 30%, which I think is just laughable because I don't think anyone else is going to be able to afford that either. Again, I am Kim McAllister in for Nikki Maduro today, and I would love it if you'd click our like button. Just clickety click. Just a little clicky on the like button helps so much. YouTube knows then that you're watching, and they are able then to, I don't know, quit the show higher, do something that makes it more successful. And so I'm grateful to you for doing that. Also, you can go to the and that is where you'll find links to the latest show. So if you ever go to YouTube and you're having trouble finding the full length of the show today, go to the website. You can click on it right there. It's always updated and fresh right after the show is over. The link to the show is posted. So you can go there. You'll also on that website find other ways to donate. We have the Patreon set up, which is awesome because Nikki and I have a monthly amount to count on, which is lovely. And also PayPal is set up there. And of course, YouTube stickers are a lovely way to donate as well. But I know a lot of people can't do that. A lot of you watch every day and can't do that every day either. So I just really appreciate you even being here with me at all. Thank you very much for that. Nikki again in the hospital with her daughter Marley, who is getting surgery today, and we are hoping that everything goes well and that everything is the best with them. So we're talking about the juxtaposition between the very, very poor and the very, very rich. Well, apparently in the Silicon Valley, and you knew these people existed. I guess I just never really, it was never in my face before. This is wild, you guys. There is this man who works in the South Bay, and he is one of those people you call when you're extra, extra rich that gets you whatever it is that you want in the world. Well, I would say within reason. Uh, there's this article from trying to figure out where I got this from. It's called Silicon Valley's Elite Call This Man for Experiences That You Can't Google, like hanging out with the Warriors, like getting tickets to the Oscars, all these things that people want. So sometimes even in the middle of the night, people call, and this guy does it. Uh, his name is Ray Flemings. And I don't even know how you start a business like this or how you have enough contacts to make all this magic happen. Speaking of magic, but yeah, so he's done things like book a private location with a swimming pool inside uh, in the middle of the night because people didn't want the parties at the Grammys to end. So, like that, he finds this amazing house that you could never rent on Airbnb. That's like a total party crib in the middle of the night. Uh, Another party, apparently, according to this article, planned by Flemings, was hosted at a San Francisco billionaire's home. This is the one with the people in the tech world mingling with people in the music business. Uh, Everyone had to put their phone away in special bags. There were beautiful women greeting people at the door. There was a super fancy, professional, famous DJ. It's just wild. This is what the world's richest and most successful people do. They become customers of Fleming's company. They call it a private marketplace that offers the goods, services, and experiences that you absolutely cannot Google. So, uh, who called? Did any of you call this guy? Any of you over there in the billionaire category? I don't know. Uh, this is the level of clients this guy has. They fall into the ultra high net worth individual category. They provide concierge services to fewer than 100 clients. So this is the elite status here. But of those fewer than 100 clients, the wealth combined is more than $400 billion. No minimum net worth to join. It's called Myria, Myria. Myria is the name. And they say it's most useful if you're, speaking of disposable income on stuff, makes $5,000 a night for a hotel room look like a pittance. These are people that spend $500,000 a year on recreation. So if you drop $500,000 a year on vacations, fun, frivolity, this is the place for you. This is not the place for me. I'll tell you that right now. It's not just to have the money, apparently. For the people Flemings provides access to, they want to know he wants to know that they won't be interacting with a jerk. So you have to be really nice to him when you call him, or he won't get you the stuff that you need. But he will come up with all kinds of things. One man wanted to go to the Oscars. It was like few hours before, this guy gets him sitting next to celebrities in row 9. He gets him tickets to the Oscars. I mean, if you pay enough, you know, you get whatever you want. Just crazy. So yeah, um, Miria, a great success, this company, particularly with tech founders, these people who just want the cool stuff that you can't easily get. Most of the earliest and best clients, he says, are the San Francisco, the founders of these companies. They skew young, philanthropic, generous, and just really wanting to have fun. The big bad wolf tech guy trope is overblown. He says they're really good people, just all trying to figure it out. So, yeah, brings me though back to I think was ranting teacher or maybe Eric that was talking about people sleeping in tents versus people paying 5 grand a night. Well, think about these people, and maybe they give money back, but I'll tell you, all this money going for things, this frivolous things, when so many people, have nothing. It's wild. Okay, so I wanted to do some mom stories today because there's a couple that I wanted to talk about. The first one is Paris Hilton. Did you know that Paris Hilton is a new mom? I thought, I don't even know Paris Hilton was pregnant. Did you know Paris Hilton was pregnant? I had zero idea that Paris Hilton had a baby. Well, apparently, she's been really struggling with infertility. Her mom gave this interview to People magazine saying that she was trying and she was trying and she was trying and nothing was happening. So she had in vitro, and I also didn't know that Paris Hilton is 41 years old. I thought she was a lot younger than that. See if I can share the screen with you guys. Yeah. So this is her mom, Kathy Hilton, talking to People magazine, saying she's struggling to start a family, trying and trying and trying and trying. Here she is with her husband. Um, and they ended up having IVF. I don't know if she personally had, I know she had her eggs harvested. I don't know if she tried to carry and that just didn't work. She wasn't pregnant. This baby that they have, this little boy, their brand new baby boy, was carried by surrogate. And she was having some real trouble. And it's funny because my first thought was, oh, she didn't want to ruin her perfect body. She, is rich enough to have someone else do all the work. That's not it at all. I was so wrong. Like me, Paris Hilton had fertility struggles and, probably feels incredibly lucky that she was able to have a little son. Um, Her mom says that they've spoken openly about this fertility journey, that they've had a tough time. She said, "It breaks my heart because I know she's trying. I always just say, just relax." Kathy Hilton also said she's reminding them so many people struggle and it just doesn't happen just like that. It's so important to remember. So after all the struggles, and I'm always happy for anyone who has a new baby. That's the life-changing, most wonderful event. But for people that struggle and fight for it when they have success, I feel so happy for them. So I don't often say that I'm happy for Paris Hilton, but I really truly am happy for her that she has a new baby after all the struggles that she has. Okay, so here's another story on the mom beat. This is why I wanted to do a mom beat with you today. This is crazy. This woman gave birth to a baby. In the chat, guess how much this baby weighed? This happened in Brazil. I don't think I've ever seen a baby this big before, a newborn. Guess how much this baby weighed? I'll give you a minute while I try to share the screen with you. It is amazing. This woman, she's calling it such a surprise. She didn't realize at all. She thought probably it would have weighed half this much. But no, no, not at all. Let's see. We have 12 pounds, 19 pounds. Okay, that's really big. 32. No. I'll share the story with you. Yes, this woman has given birth to a 16-pound baby in Brazil. I didn't expect this surprise. My first thought as a mom, she didn't have that baby the normal way. No, she didn't. Read down a little bit. C-section. I mean, wouldn't you have to? And thank God for scalpels and surgery. I'll tell you, a 16-pound baby. This is her sixth child. Uh, It is a boy named Angerson who was born on January 18th. She said when it was time to give birth to her sixth child, Cleidiane Santos dos Santos, said she did not expect this surprise. She said, I thought it would be 4 kilos, but he came to 7 kilos or 16 pounds, this 27-year-old mom said. Yeah, she had a C section at the hospital. And wow. Apparently, most full term babies are born between 6 and 9 pounds. Having a higher birth weight can lead to increased health risks for the newborn and can make the delivery of the baby difficult. Well, yeah, we knew that. But there he is. That's a 16-pound baby boy. Whew. Yeah. Thank God. Thank God for the C section. That's all I have to say. I'm telling you what. Thank you for all the guesses and doing all that. I appreciate that very much. Let's do a little news, shall we? I'm 5 minutes late for news, but you know what? It's an abbreviated version of the Nikki Maduro show, and that's the way we're going to roll today. So I'm not going to feel bad about it. Can I play the news theme? I don't know. See if I can do it. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm doing everything by myself, so things are taking a little bit longer. No, it's Craig across the street. Oh, there it is. Here it is. My favorite.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Oh, and I did that by myself, too. I'm really proud of it. So, yeah, let's get to some news because I wanted to tell you about President Zelensky in Ukraine thanking the United States for tanks.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show.
Let's pause it. We already heard that. My apologies, you guys. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. So Ukrainian President Zelensky thanking the United States for its decision to provide his nation with tanks as it fights its ongoing war with Russia. In a Twitter post, Zelensky called it an important step on the path to victory. He said the world is uniting like never before in its efforts to liberate Ukraine. President Biden announcing the United States will provide Ukraine with 31 M1 Abrams tanks, which are among the most powerful in the world. And now we know Germany is providing some tanks as well. I have to tell you, that scares me a little bit. When Zelensky says the world is uniting like never before in its efforts to liberate Ukraine, it makes me think of world wars. Do I think Ukraine should be liberated? Yes. Am I glad they're getting help? Yes. But it doesn't come to me without fear of the possibility of something escalating and getting out of control. And then, we're back in a war with horrible loss of life for America, as well as Ukraine and other countries. This Virginia teacher that was shot by a 6-year-old student suing the school. This Virginia teacher shot by a 6-year-old student suing the school where the event unfolded. Her name is Abby Zwerner. She was seriously hurt after this child opened fire with a handgun in what police call a targeted attack. This happened at the Rich Neck Elementary School in Newport News. NBC News is reporting Zwerner texted a loved one right before this attack, which also happened January 6th, complaining that the child had her fearing for her life and school officials were failing to act. Apparently, they knew something was going on, that they had reports that this child may have had a weapon, searched the backpack, couldn't find anything. Zwerner's attorney says administrators received multiple reports that child had a gun on the day of the shooting and didn't act. So she is suing the school district and may well have a case in this one. Apparently, this child had a pattern of behavior. This story is so sad. We were talking earlier on the Mark Thompson show about how the gun was stored, that how the 6-year-old child would have access to a weapon anyway. Apparently, the parents are saying it was on a shelf 6 feet high, and that it had some type of trigger lock on it. Apparently, the kid figured out how to get around that lock and climb up and get the gun. I don't think a high shelf is enough. I think it's all about, if you must have a gun in your house, you got to have a gun safe. Very, very secure situation. I can't. And what a sad story all around. I'm sad this teacher was shot and injured, and I'm sad for what's going to happen to this child as well. Jim Avila was telling me earlier that because the child is under 6, they can't be charged. but they're not going back to that school. They're probably going to have to get some type of mental help, maybe inpatient mental help, and I don't know if this person's ever going to be okay. No, it's just sad. A House Judiciary Committee announcing a hearing on the Biden border crisis now. What Republicans are calling the Biden border crisis will be the subject of a hearing, and that will be next week. The House Judiciary Committee will hold the hearing February 1st, that according to a tweet from Ohio's Jim Jordan. He's leading the panel and he's tweeting he is ready to get to work. A federal prosecutor now calling for cooler heads to prevail as an investigation into the death of Tyree Nichols continues in Memphis, Tennessee. More about this case. Speaking to reporters, Kevin Ritz said he had spoken to the Nichols family, assuring them of the civil rights investigation that his office opened would follow the facts. But the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee says it may take some time to get to a final resolution on this one. Ritz's remarks come after the Nichols family was shown the video of the beating that Tyree received at the hands of 5 now fired Memphis police officers after a traffic stop. He died days after that beating, with an autopsy finding he suffered extensive bleeding caused by the severe beating. 2 Memphis firefighters are also being suspended, as authorities say they were also involved in Nichols' care after his arrest. I mean, there's no words, right? Another one of these cases. So we'll see where this civil rights investigation goes. Hopefully they do it right. That's all I can say. The local lawmaker in New York hoping to remove Congressman George Santos from office. Where's the liar, liar, pants on fire drop when you need it? Josh LaFazan from Long Island is introducing what he calls the George Bill. It's a package that would bar certain people from holding office. Lafazan is fed up with all the lies Santos has told. He says the Republican wouldn't pass a routine background check. Meantime, there are open investigations into Santos's finances and whether or not he violated campaign finance rules. So, that may be the thing that brings him down. He's now saying that the money he said came from a personal loan didn't come from there at all, but he's refusing to say where the money came from. It's all so hinky and so ugly. And meanwhile, you have him being a sitting member of Congress. Now, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says that an ethics a committee investigation will get to the bottom of this. And until then, he's not going to do anything. But it's just, it's not pretty. Not pretty at all. Razzies, as Nikki was talking about yesterday, they're apologizing for nominating a child star, as well they should, because that sucked. The infamous Razzie Awards are walking back on one of its nominations. They issued a public apology today to 11-year-old actress Ryan Kira Armstrong. She was nominated in the Worst Actress category for her role in the movie Firestarter. The awards received a backlash for nominating this child actor. Razzie's co-founder, John Wilson, said sometimes you do things without thinking. How does that happen? That you nominate a child star as the for the worst of something, and you think that's okay? That you don't look at the nomination list before you put it out and think, is there a problem here? Are we being cruel unnecessarily? Armstrong won't be on the final ballot, he says. And the Razzies say they have now instituted a new rule that it's only 18 years and older for nominees to receive a Razzie. So you can only fail if you're of age now, I guess. This is interesting, and I'll look forward to seeing them. But there are previously unseen pictures of the Beatles taken by Paul McCartney that will go on display in London. This is, let's see, they thought the photographs had been lost, but apparently this person recently discovered them. The pictures taken between December of 1963 and February of 1964. The National Portrait Gallery director saying they provide a uniquely personal perspective on what it was like to be a Beatle at the start of Beatlemania. Fans unable to make it to London will still have the chance to see these rare photos. McCartney also plans to publish a book featuring them in June to celebrate his 81st birthday. So that's kind of cool. I mean, you think we've heard and seen everything there is to hear and see from the Beatles. And just when you think that, you turn around and find out that there's something new from that whole era, which is exciting. I did want to mention to people that are worried about their health insurance that January 31st is the last day to sign up for Covered California. Next week, the last opportunity to sign up for healthcare coverage through Covered California. It is open enrollment. It is the one time of year eligible Californians can't be turned away. So you have until January 31st to sign up if you need to do so. You can get coverage for less than $10 a month. There's financial help if you need it as well. Depending on your income, some consumers may qualify for the low cost or no cost Medi-Cal program. To shop and compare, find out if you qualify, you can go to coveredca.com. And I think that's important information for a lot of people to have. This report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes or basically business help at all, you call Steve Moskowitz. He's got you. It's 888 tax deal. It's also moskowitzllp.com. And we appreciate Steve Moskowitz. He is a founding and exclusive sponsor of the Nikki Maduro Show. And I am grateful to you, to Steve, and to you for being here as well. Okay, so let's talk about a possible recession coming in. There's a story now saying Goldman Sachs is warning of a recession caused by the debt ceiling. I mean, inflation has to play a role, right? But the top economist at Goldman Sachs says a recession could be triggered by a debt ceiling crisis. Speaking with CNN, Jan Hatzius says even a hint that the United States could fail to make an interest and a principal payment could have a very, very adverse consequence. The U.S. reached its debt limit last week, forcing the U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen to take what have been called extraordinary measures, really, to prevent a debt default. Yellen is warning a global financial crisis could happen if Congress fails to act. And you know that all kinds of deals are going to be made. There's going to have to be a lot of pork when they make all these deals about spending, and there's going to be a fight. And then the Republicans aren't going to do anything, and they want to blame President Biden for it. And then the Democrats will point their fist. It's going to be ugly, ugly, and we can see it coming a mile away. Meanwhile, as they're fighting, we could be, according to this Goldman Sachs top economist, headed toward a recession because of it all. It's pretty frustrating. Let's see what you guys are saying over here in the chat. I'm still stuck on my music. Stuck on the Star Wars as well. The goal of the GOP, says Mo Direct, is to destabilize the government. Look at the last minute. At the last of administration, I think you mean to say. Look at the House as it sits now. Yeah. Eric Kennedy, the Republicans don't even know what they want to cut to avoid the debt ceiling crisis. Yeah, it's true. I mean, how are you going to fix it? And while I agree that we can't just keep raising the debt ceiling without taking steps to look at the bind that we're in, to keep putting ourselves further and further in debt, it's not the way you or I would do it at our house, right? It's not what we would do. I mean, if you don't reach the max of your credit card and go, well, guess I need another credit card then. That's not how it's supposed to work. You use a credit, you pay off the credit. You don't just keep getting a new credit card every time you hit the limit. I understand the politics of it all, but I just worry that America is getting, we're already in over our head, and we're just not taking the steps to really make any fixes on that. The Lady Beatrice, I knew it. Wherever the GOP is, economic chaos follows. Sure seems like it, because wasn't it Trump that overspent? Pardon me while I take a sip of my coconut LaCroix. I mean, he's the one that put us more in the red, right? And there's always talk about how Democrats are the ones that are spendy, but lately it doesn't seem like that has followed. William Lundgren writes they want to cut Social Security and Medicare. John Rothman was talking about that earlier. They say they don't, writes Eric. We'll see how it pans out. It seems like social programs are always the first things to go. So, but a lot of people count on the Medicare, and a lot of people count on that money. So, no. I was reading a story yesterday about this couple that is counting on Medicare to get them through, but I don't think they're really hurting that much. This couple sold their house in Florida. I don't know how much they got for it, but they bought a 700 square foot stateroom or leased it for like 24 years for $2.5 million. So they buy the stateroom for the rest of their lives. I think she's 64, he's 70 something. So they're looking at their possible lifespan. They're taking their retirement now aboard this cruise ship. And I've heard of people doing this before, but this is a different kind of cruise ship. It's not your normal tourist type of thing. This is a cruise ship where people live. Everyone is going to be buying their, I guess, we call it stateroom, little mini condo, what have you. So there's not going to be nightly parties. There's not going to be all of that, technical tourist type stuff going on. People are going to be quiet and respectful, but there's going to be a huge gym. You get to eat out every night in a restaurant. You get to take classes and dance classes, and then it still travels around. So you still get all the travel perks. So you stop for, in unlike a quick 7-day cruise that you would stop for 4 hours at one port or what have you. In this case, they might stop for 5 days. So you'd be able to really check out a city as you go back to your cruise ship stateroom every night. So 2.5 million they pay for the stateroom. And you also have to pay $135,000 a year for living expenses. And that includes all of your meals, all the gym membership, I suppose upkeep of the ship and what have you. It's an awful lot of money. I mean, when you think about all the money you need for retirement or what you would spend a year in retirement, maybe some people that doesn't seem like a lot. But it seems like once you cough up the 2.5 million, then to have to pay 135,000 a year on top of that, that's an awful lot of money. I don't know. Um, yeah. Mo says you don't have to live on the ship the whole time. You can just know where the port of calls will be and plan at the right spot at the right time when you wish to get on the water. True. Although that's not what these people are doing. They sold their house. They are living aboard this ship. This is their life now. They're not going to have a different house to go back to. They're going to be residents aboard this ship, this cruise ship. And that's going to be it for the rest of their life. They are saying that there is medical care provided aboard the ship, but they're going to keep their Medicare just in case something happens to them and they have to go back to the United States for medical treatment. Yeah. If you have the money, why not? Writes Mindy Lee. That's true. And that kind of conflicts with what Nem is saying. That's ridiculous. It's called privilege. Yeah, but I don't know how you begrudge people that. They work their whole lives for this money, right? And they have it. They have equity in the house they can sell to fork over the 2.5 mil for the stateroom on a ship. If you have it, why not? If that's your dream of retirement, if that's what you would just want to sail around the world and get off at every port and check out the world in your retirement and not have a home on land to come back to, I think I would get. I know it's when you're on aboard a ship, it's not really seasicky kind of situation, but I would think after a while I would just get. I just want it to be on land, in my own house on land. That's okay. But yeah, so I kind of agree with Mindy. If you have the money and if that's your dream, why not? I'm just shocked at how much that actually costs. Nick writes, having more money doesn't mean that they worked harder to get it. In this case, I think they did. I think they had a couple of businesses. They had a food processing thing, a dance shoe business, whatever. It looks like they worked for their money, but you're right. It could have been inherited. They could have won the lottery. It could have been a lucky windfall. I don't know. It sounds like a great way to retire, writes Mindy, and fun too. Yeah, for a while, you know, but how many years? After 24, 25 years, which is how much their lease is, they didn't, I guess you could spend more to have something to be able to will to your children. They didn't want to do that. They said they don't have kids, so they paid the 2.5 million for a lease that was as long as their life expectancy they thought would be. and that's it. But that's something else. What do you have to show for it? I mean, I guess you have your travel experiences and all that, but you don't really have anything tangible to leave to your children or to leave behind that's worth money if it just expires in 24 years and that's it. Lady Beatrice says, just one more thing for the damn rich to make the rest of us feel like failures. Yeah, I guess, but I don't know if, again, I don't know if I'd want to spend 24 years of my life on a ship, you know? I just don't. I don't know. I think I could do it. Mo says, you buy a condo, but you're stuck in the same city forever. Yeah, but there's something to be said about home, familiarity, community, all the things that make your home your home. You know, all the reasons why we chose to live where we all live, whatever city that you chose to live in. There's something about it that kind of, well, either you grew up there and you just landed there, or it somehow spoke to you in a way. Yeah, I guess it's fun after a while, but it'll get pretty boring. Yeah. Heather Kennedy says it's 24 years of seeing new places instead of 24 years stuck in the same house in the same city. Doesn't sound awful. I hear you. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a homebody. Maybe that's what it is. Sticky Cola Bud writes, I hate sharks. I wouldn't do it. You don't have to hang out with the sharks, but swimming with the sharks would be kind of interesting. Eric writes, what happens if you outlive your money? You mean if they live longer than what they, I don't think they do. I don't think you can. I mean, I guess you could live to be 116 like the oldest woman in the world, and in which case they would have woefully underestimated how long they were going to live. At 24 years, either you cough up more or you're off the ship. You're out. You're gone. Murphy says, I lived on ships for 5 years, never saw a shark, just lots of whales and dolphins. That's cool. Yeah, I think Murphy worked on a ship, so that's pretty cool. I think working there for a few years would be fun, but living there for decades and decades, I don't know. Mo says variety is the spice of life. Mindy writes, to see the world sounds really, really fun. And yes, you're right. They don't have kids. They said we don't have anyone to leave a house to. So for them, why not just go ahead and go? You know, just do all this and have a blast. And I understand the thinking with that. Um, but it feels like if you invest in something, I guess you could say they're investing in themselves then. But if for me, I feel like if I'm investing in a home, I want it to make money. I wouldn't buy, like, I think in Hawaii, you can buy a home. They do something called a leasehold. I don't know if I'm getting this right, but where you own the home, but you don't own the land that where the home is. I would never do that because I want the land and the home. I don't ever want my lease on the home to expire, right? Because then they could say, I'm sorry, you're out. We don't want your house on our land anymore, and it's done. And I wanna be feeling like the money I'm putting in is, going to me or to my heirs or to whatever charity I choose to leave it to in the end, that it won't just up and expire someday, that all that money I've paid in is gone. But I guess you could make the argument that, they're investing in themselves and their experiences, and since they don't have anyone really to leave the money to, that what better way to, enjoy it? Live big. Why not? I do want to thank a couple of people that are donating, and I don't know if I've managed to get them all. So bear with me for just a moment. But Andreas, I've been thinking a lot about you. I have to tell you that. You said that your mom was in the hospital. She's 94, and that you were staying on a hospital bed with her. And I hadn't heard from you for a couple of days, and I was really hoping that everything went okay there. So just know that you've been on my mind, and I hope your mom's okay, and I hope that you're doing okay as well. And thank you for this $20 donation. He says, Kim, there are a lot of rich people and many are our friends. Here's $20 for your retirement. Well, I thank you very much. Appreciate that. I don't think I'm going to be moving on to the cruise ship, Andreas. I think I'll stay on the land perhaps at this point. But I do appreciate the donation via the super sticker, which, by the way, open for business and live. James Buchanan says, $4.99 super stickers. Thank you for that. We really, really appreciate the help. It goes a long way for Nikki and I. So we thank you for that. Andreas with another $20. Andreas, You're back, baby. And I love it. I hope that means everything's going okay with you guys. So thank you for those donations. And I don't think I'm scrolling through really quickly. I don't see any other ones, but I'm sorry if I missed you. If you have donated and I missed you, my apologies. Again, there's a little heart with a dollar sign, so you can donate on YouTube. If you'd rather do Patreon, we really love that too, because we can count it every month, and you can do it. I think as little as like $2 or $3 a month, $1 a month. Some people do $20 a month. Some people do way more than that. So whatever floats your boat, if you're able to help, we appreciate it. You can go to thenickymadoroshow.com to find out all the information on ways to donate. Find the Patreon link there, find also the PayPal link there, and you can find the link to the most recent shows there. The minute the show ends, it will be put up and published. So some people have said they have a hard time navigating YouTube and finding today's show. That's a great way to get to it. thenickymadoroshow.com. And of course, yes, indeed, the super chat is live, and we appreciate that as well. Here is the address for PayPal donations. It's thenickymadoroshow.com. I hate doing that whole asking for money thing, so I'll end that now. But just to say thank you for anything that you can do for us, and if all you can do is click that like button and be here with us, well, we support that and appreciate that as well. So I have a special guest. He's a friend. He's a former co-worker at Station X, a former co-worker at the MarkThompsonShow.com, and here he is. Hey, it's John Daly. Oh, you're muted. Mute. You unmute yourself? I'm not.
It's really bad that Mark's parents are better at this than I am.
Yes, they are. How are you?
I'm good. I found a camera.
Yeah, you look really good. You're super cute, you know. That's how I feel about being on camera.
Yeah.
You look like you're working in a high-tech office now.
Well, I thought I'd recreate like a pseudo newsroom.
Oh, is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Station X.
Well, yeah, it does a little bit. They spent copious amounts of money on all these big screen TVs.
Yeah,
and
twice.
And they hung them in the strangest places.
Yeah.
You know, like you'd stand up from a desk, and I think one of our coworkers whacked her head on the TV every time she got up to you know.
Well, the original remodel had like 3 TVs like in a triangle, but
Yeah,
it was on top of the areas where we sat.
Yeah.
So you could only like crane your neck and see CNN. Yeah. And then there were some TVs on the wall. I always put the first TV on Fox News to trigger Pat Thurston. That was my gift. That was my gift to Pat in the audience.
I have to say, I did like the TV. There was a TV when you first walked in. I'm sure it's still there. That always had like a scene of San Francisco.
Oh, in the lobby, yeah.
Or the ocean in the lobby, and then it had all the station names underneath, and you know, and you never knew what you were going to see.
Well, and they rotate which station is being played in terms of audio.
Yeah.
And I'd get off the elevator, I'd hear like Chris Merrill, you know, booming, and I'd be texting him.
You know what? You just reminded me. Chris Merrill is someone that I have not had on the show yet.
You should.
Maybe I'll call him and see if I can rustle him up and get him on the show. I'm looking for the story we talked about yesterday, which is the whole reason I had you on the show anyway. But it was about.
Oh, I thought you were just out of guests.
No, no. There's a point. There's a method to my madness.
You're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
With John Daly.
Yeah.
I love how you're self-deprecating, but
you had Jim Avila, you had John Rothman.
You're like, of my list. No,
okay, I'm out.
I'm
running on fumes here.
I invited you on the show because, well, number one, I adore you. Number two, you took a little trip for the Mark Thompson show, and I think you're going to show video eventually on Mark's show in a driverless car in San Francisco. And this article came out yesterday. Waymo driverless car brings San Francisco traffic to a halt during rush hour. Did you see this?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Because I guess they're allowed to run it during the day now. Mm-hmm. So I took my ride with Cruise, and I took some video. I actually signed up to get a ride like a year ago for Mark's show, and then I was going to talk about it, but you know, bad timing. And I have taken the ride, and I've taken video. I need to edit it. But that was Cruise, and they're only allowed to operate like 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Okay.
which I'll just say is good that they're limited to 10 p.m.
So how was the ride? Was it like, were you freaking out?
It was a little unnerving. The first problem was getting to the car. There's a limited service area, so I had to walk to the service area, right? And I'm going up a hill, so I'm going to the top of the hill. And if the camera's shaking, those are Archie's whiskers there. There you go, Archie. Leave the camera alone. And so I walk up the hill, and I'm in the service area, and I request the car, and it says, "Okay, it's coming." What they don't tell you is you have to go to a certain point, and that certain point was further up the hill.
Oh.
So now I've walked like over a mile uphill. I'm like sweating, and they don't tell you because they're figuring out this this service. They don't tell you, like, there's a little dashed line from where you are to where the car is going to be. They don't tell you, oh, you have to walk this initial period, right, to get to the car. So then it says it's meeting you in 3 minutes, and then I realize it's meeting me in a different spot. So then I'm already sweating, and now I'm running. This is ridiculous. I'm running up the hill to meet a car that's automated at the top of the hill. So then I get there, right, and it stops. It doesn't run me over, which is nice. I cross over, and it just goes right by me. It drives down the hill past me, and then it just starts to take off. I thought it was going to stop. It just took off. And so I'm looking at the map, and it says it's down the street around the corner. So I go down the street around the corner, and there it is, halfway down the next block. But it didn't park legally. It just kind of angled into somebody's driveway on a narrow street.
Weird.
Like a street that's narrow enough only one car can get by, and it just has the back of the car like angled out of the parking of the driveway. And then I get in and I proceed, but it's a little unnerving.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it when it was raining. But and I'll play the video on Mark's show. We haven't talked about doing it, but I wanted to be part of something new. It's kind of like the next generation. I had been talking to Kim about it, and I was like, do I really want to get in an autonomous vehicle? When you're driving around the city, it is creepy, especially at night, to see a car pull up to you with no person inside it.
When you get in, does it say anything to you? Like,
yeah,
welcome,
it says, hello,
really?
hi, hello,
okay.
welcome. We're ready to go. And there's actually an option to listen to the radio.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, anything but 810 the spread.
Well, I couldn't find Mark Thompson's show.
Okay.
No, they didn't have 810 margarine spread or whatever they call it. What a stupid name. What a stupid concept. Yeah, and they had like NPR and, KSFO and stuff like that.
Oh, great. Just what everybody needs. So you get in the car, it backs up, it's rolling down city streets. There's no one at the helm.
Yeah.
Did you tell it beforehand where you wanted it to take you, or does it take you on a predetermined route?
Yeah, and it has to be within the zone. It has to be within the zone. It was a little funny, like they don't have many like places on the actual map, that are labeled. And one of them was Nancy Pelosi's house.
Oh.
Like, that seems like a security risk. Like, didn't we already do that?
Yeah. Don't take your hammer. No, don't do it. So this Waymo autonomous vehicle, apparently, and we've seen stories like this before, it was stopped in the middle of a key intersection, totally brought traffic to halt right in the
19th,
middle
right?
Rush hour. What now?
This is 19th, right? 19th and Eola?
I'm looking
the
for
intersection.
that.
Yeah, so this is Highway 1 through the city.
Yeah, you're right. 19th Avenue and what do you say, Ulloa?
Ulola?
You pronounce the L, it's a double L. Ulloa? I've always
at least
said
that's what locals,
Ulloa.
you know how it is.
Yeah.
Vallejo,
well, I did traffic,
Viejo.
so if I get it wrong.
What's the street that's in Novato that's wrong if it's the East Bay?
Nave.
No.
That is Ignacio. It's
All right.
Ignacio Boulevard in Novato, and it's Ignacio if you're in the Walnut Creek area.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so Inner Sunset, 19th Avenue, and
Ulola.
Yeah.
I know I'm saying it wrong now. Someone's getting in the chat.
the Waymo car stops.
Yeah.
Blocks traffic, entered into a very busy intersection. According to SF Gate, because of unexpected temporary road closures, the vehicle just stopped right in the middle of the road.
So it's for all intents and purposes, it's a highway.
Yeah. So it's Ulloa or Uloa, whatever, starts with a U.
Ulloa.
Right. The streets are all alphabetized.
Right.
Traffic is backed up all the way to Crossover Drive into Golden Gate Park.
Right.
The entire alphabet screwed because this car stops in the middle of the roadway. Drivers are trying to go around it. What a mess. The company's rider assistance team eventually moves the car away from the intersection. They didn't say what time they managed to finally get there because they got to drive out there, you know.
Well, remember, these automated cars, it was Waymo that took over our parking garage.
Yeah.
At Station X. We had to move to a different parking garage because they rented out the whole place to Google.
Yep. This Waymo, I guess they have a permit now from the California Public Utilities Commission.
Yeah, there's different levels. There's different levels that let you do different things.
They can now roam freely around the city. So they must have the top level permit. They don't have to have a driver and they can go anywhere in San Francisco.
Yeah, first they weren't allowed to charge. So now a cruise is allowed to charge but can only operate overnight. And I guess the next phase must be what they have, where they can go anywhere, anytime.
I wonder if it's cheaper.
Scary.
Is it cheaper to ride in a car without a driver?
You would think it would be you would think it would be much cheaper. It wasn't. It was like $8 to go from middle of the city towards end of the Panhandle.
Right.
It wouldn't have been much more to get a Lyft or an Uber, and that would employ a person. So I don't really, especially given how clunky it was and how I had to walk like 10 minutes to get to the car. Right. I mean, it's more of a novelty thing. It's not ready, right? It's not ready for production.
Something to do, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, that's kind of a cool experience that you had, though.
Yeah, it is eerie though to see the steering wheel turn on its own, especially when you come up against like a Muni bus on the other side of the intersection, because then you're thinking, okay, Muni death machine, automated death machine, like who's gonna win?
What's the coolest automated experience that you've had? Has it been that, or is there something else that that's kind of high tech and automated that you think that you like?
Basically, all of Japan, like everything they have in Japan. Yeah. Everything just is automated and it works, especially your toilets. Like
Really?
You don't even know what the characters mean, but you're just like pressing buttons to see what happens.
Weren't you telling me about vending machines in people's yards too in Japan?
Yeah, they have these transit cards, kind of like a Clipper card, and there's rival companies. But you get, say, the main travel pass, and it has a loaded value on it, and you can use it on all the different train systems. So that's cool, right? And you could use it at 7-Eleven to buy anything. And we can go talk about 7-Eleven another time. But 7-Eleven is not our 7-Eleven. It's like real food, like really good food. Yeah. But yeah, people have their own soda machines in their front yard. So, just imagine like on the sidewalk, like, if you're in a house in San Francisco, it'd be like embedded into the front,
So then do the people that own the home make money from the vending
presumably
machines?
So. They must be renting it. But yeah, you can use that card everywhere to get anything.
Yeah,
you can get toiletry products like in the subway. You can get anything. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
So you haven't been to Japan, I recommend it.
Yeah, I haven't been there. That's cool though. So let's keep talking about tech because I know you're in the tech world. And
sorry, I didn't bring my guitar.
Yeah, next time.
Okay.
But there are more layoffs today. Intel, I was reading a story. Intel is laying off people that are, I think it's nearly 454 something. There's a very specific number.
Well, a lot of these companies, they just hired way too many people.
I'm in Santa Clara. Yeah, no.
It's kind of like a boom and bust cycle.
I was reading an article the other day that, kind of talked about all these tech companies that have had layoffs. And they said, no one is safe. We may be heading into a recession. And so even these jobs that are thought to really be secure and high paying are now in question. Are you feeling in San Francisco and in the tech world like that's something people are talking about more?
Well, it's funny you should say that because I was out drinking at a bar and I was talking to somebody and they said, oh, poor techies. Like, now they know what it's like. So there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of empathy for the tech scene because, these, good for them. They get these high paying jobs, but it drives up the price for everyone else. So I was talking to somebody who were like, you can't get like a burrito for less than like $20 with a Coke now. Everything in the city's gone up. So there's kind of this animosity towards tech people among people that I know, especially the younger group, Gen Z and younger millennials. But yeah, we go through these cycles all the time, right? Tech becomes very profitable. Stock market goes crazy. People are investing in things they don't understand, like the first tech boom. You could order anything like dog food off the internet. Okay, I'll throw my money at it. But you get this bubble, and they hire way too many people. And in this last round, I think not every big tech company hired too many people. I want to say it's Google, or maybe it's Apple. One of the two didn't hire like gangbusters and isn't laying people off like the others, because the others just, they went on a buying spree and just started, creating too many jobs. So, I mean, I think that's just a natural cycle of technology. It's boom and bust. It's kind of like the gold mining era.
Yeah. I just feel bad especially after the layoffs at KGO, and
there's always unemployment.
Yeah, that's true. You know how it feels, and to see all these, now thousands more people, many of them in the Bay Area without jobs. I feel for people. I know there's a pushback against techies or what have you, but I feel for anyone who's out of a job.
Yeah.
Something else about, not only are you a tech guy, but you're also have worked in the news business. And there's a story that came out just a few minutes
news
ago.
adjacent.
Talk show. Yeah.
Talk show. Yeah.
You're in the opinion section, right? You're the op-ed.
Yeah, I don't have to say allegedly.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. But conservative network Newsmax will no longer be carried by DirecTV.
Oh.
Do you feel bad about it? The company said it will no longer broadcast the network because Newsmax demanded rate increases. Newsmax officials calling this censorship. They say it's a blatant act of political discrimination.
Wait, you just said they're raising rates and then they're calling it censorship. Isn't that free market capitalism?
It's lies. They're able to create the story they want to create, and use it to their own advantage.
Yeah. So. Well, too bad no one's going to see it.
Was anyone?
Have you ever seen Newsmax? I've never.
No. On Station X at the when they seem to be desperate and running every commercial that
they seem to be desperate, as opposed to market volatility and ED pills.
They were running this Newsmax commercials.
You realize they take money from anyone.
Yeah. But it used to really piss me off because it was so blatantly political and wrong. Yeah. What they would have to say, and they would run the craziest ads, especially for people that were listening online, and you get these complaint calls. It's like
Joe Biden is the devil.
Yeah.
Tune in today to Newsmax. But that happened every once in a while. We'd get like some super Christian, anti-abortion, ad running on the stream, and we don't know what's on the stream because the stream is handled nationally, and the ads are injected. So the person selling the ads is not on the same page as our program director. And what would happen is Lee Hammer would find out about it and then have those ads removed.
Yeah.
Right. Move that to a different station. It's not going to really fit in here in the Bay Area.
Judy writes, poor Newsmax.
Yeah. What are they going to
do? Eric says, heard one couple who both worked for Google, both got fired. The wife was halfway through her maternity leave and gone. Out they go. Yeah. Eric says, Newsmax, talk about an oxymoron name. That's totally true.
It kind of sounds like a product that would be sold on their station.
Oh no, Wes, my sister watches only Newsmax. How do you get any real information to people that are brainwashed like that? She isn't seeing CNN or any real news. Oh, yeah, that's ugly. That's really bad, unfortunately. But
it's kind of, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like drug addicts. Like the person needs to want it, right? They need to want to have
the truth?
To have the truth before they're actually going to accept it. Or you can't force someone to use logic and critical thinking skills, which is something that's not taught often enough.
You mentioned the devil, and you and I have been watching this show, so I want to bring up the devil. This is not Yosemite, it's Yellowstone.
It's really funny. You're like talking about the show, and I'm like texting Kim like, it's not called Yosemite. It's called Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Hey, I live in California, okay? So we're watching Yellowstone season 5, and Beth is going crazy in season 5.
Yeah, you want to tell people about the character?
She's just really angry. She's the daughter of the main character, who's Kevin Costner's character, who owns the ranch.
Yeah.
And she's been wronged by her brother, and she's angry over the fact that she can't have children. And she's
spoiler alerts.
I'm sorry, spoiler alert. And she's just like harbors all this anger, but also like she's awesome.
Yeah. She's kind of like the person who comes in, like the badass, and walks in and buys the stock of your company and takes over, right? Like a hostile takeover. Like that's her profession. So, but she kind of runs her whole life that way. So when she walks into a room, you know something's going down.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched Yellowstone, it's really good. And then there's all these spinoffs. Have you seen the spinoffs too? There's 1883 and
1883 is actually the first one I saw.
Okay.
And then now I've seen 1923.
Oh, 1923.
Which has Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford.
Right. And they're doing 4 episodes, and then there's a break, and then the next 4 are going to come out sometime in next month, I think.
Yeah.
So that's exciting to me. I don't know. Well, I like watching TV with you because you text me during the shows, and and it's like a Mystery Science Theater. What's the number? 3000? How you
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I enjoy that. And by the way, you're kind of like Nikki in that Nugget gets up behind Nikki, and you know we see the dog moving around all over the place. So in this case, we have Archie rolling around your house, so that's kind of fun.
Have you seen him?
Yeah, he was up there. Yeah, he's up there a while. There he is. He's up there a while ago.
Say hi, Archie.
Here's Archie. Yeah, Archie the cat. So I know that you have probably been following all these mass shootings in California.
Yeah.
And in Southern California, and then in Half Moon Bay.
It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, it really. What a sad commentary that is.
Well, I see an alert on my phone. I'm like, wait, is this the one, in Central California? Or is this the one in Southern California? I mean, it's sad, but nothing's going to be done about it.
Story came out today. Governor Gavin Newsom is trying, although maybe you could say he's spinning wheels, but he is calling again today for federal action on gun safety, angrily denouncing Republicans for refusing to adopt common sense gun safety measures. I feel like he can say it till he's blue in the face and nothing will happen.
Well, maybe he's running for president.
Or maybe he's running for president. Governor Newsom speaking to reporters today in Half Moon Bay, where 7 people were killed in a shooting on Monday, of course. The shooting in this rural community happened just 2 days after 11 people were shot and killed in Southern California at a dance hall. Governor specifically going after House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, though, who represents Bakersfield, for not making any public statement after these shootings at all.
But he did. You're saying Kevin McCarthy didn't?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. I thought McCarthy was accusing him of not saying anything.
No, Governor Gavin Newsom said he's the Speaker of the House, and these shootings happened in his state, and he has said nothing. He's done nothing, said nothing, made no calls to victims that we know of.
But isn't that his whole policy is I'm selling out in order to become Speaker, and I'm not going to do anything, and I'm going to render myself ineffective?
Well, what is a guy who... I mean, I suppose you could offer a lackluster and very insincere, gee whiz, I'm sorry this happened. But there's nothing that Kevin McCarthy is going to do.
When those families don't want to hear thoughts and prayers from him.
No, and he's not going to do anything. He's not going to take any steps. He's on, the side of free guns for everyone kind of situation, right?
Would you be surprised if they actually came out with that program? No. Free guns for tax subsidized.
I don't really mean he wants free guns.
Yeah, but it could happen. It's plausible. Free starter gun. Are you American or not? Step
How
up.
sad is that? Yeah. Now you don't just get a gun when you open a bank account. We'll just give you one for free.
Like mandatory training in school. I could see that. I could see that in some states.
Well, I'm sure some people would want that.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody had a gun, then we wouldn't have these problems, they say. But that's kind of, and I don't mean to make light of it. Clearly, Kevin McCarthy is not for free guns for everyone, but he is for, supporting the rights of gun owners and the freedom to have a gun, and I think probably have less restrictions on gun ownership at a time when things are escalating and more of these mass shootings. I was saying earlier, I saw this article where there are people that count all the mass shootings that we've had. And 2022, we've had...
That's a full-time job.
Yeah, right? It's been the biggest year so far.
That's sad.
I mean, more in 2022 than ever before. I'm sure we're on pace for 2023 to have even more.
Yeah, and they're not talking about wanting to limit the rights of responsible gun owners.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that drives me crazy is they just immediately go to that, and that's not the truth.
No.
That's like saying liberals want open borders. I don't know a single liberal who wants open borders.
I mean, you and I mean, I think we connected originally because we're both from the same hometown here in Petaluma. And there are ranchers here that I would say need guns out on those ranches. You know, they have
especially on the west side where Kim is from.
There you go.
I'm from the east side.
West side. They have legitimate need for that. You know, whatever. Or there are people that hunt. There are people that do whatever. But
they have the shotgun or whatever.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people that also don't necessarily need weapons. Who is it? Who am I to tell people whether they need it or whether they don't? Nobody. But it just seems like there's an awful lot of people
the Second Amendment doesn't actually say everyone can have a gun, right? It's about an organized militia. So that's obvious. The rulings on that are wrong. Where do you stop in terms of allowing weapons? Am I allowed to have like a tank? Am I allowed to have like a bazooka?
You want one?
Oh, it's a gun. I want it. I'm American, right? There has to be a limitation on it.
Free guns for everyone.
You know, like David K. Johnson was saying yesterday. That what did he say that he wrote an article that he couldn't publish?
Yeah, years like a decade ago, after Sandy Hook.
Right, like an entire school could be killed and nothing would be done, and it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's sad.
Yeah, not just the first grade class, like the entire school. Right. Yeah. He was right then. I mean, what would it have been insensitive to say? Maybe, but he was absolutely not wrong. And how sad is that? I just don't know. I don't think it's going to be a shooting that pushes us over the edge to change, because if that was what it would be the catalyst,
we're well past
it. That's right.
Kids have been killed.
So I don't know what the catalyst is going to be, but it's not going to be gun violence, because obviously we're okay with that. That's all right.
Yeah, it's really sad. Like you were talking about the Constitution being a living, breathing document, but because of the way the system's set up, and because we have these red states and blue states and everything's so polarizing, you're never going to get the vote to change anything. I mean, what can we agree on?
I guess pretty much nothing, right?
Yeah.
You would think after Uvalde, after Sandy Hook, that we would be able to have a meeting of the minds.
I think that's the flaw in the Constitution. There should have been a section that said that you're forced to revisit the Constitution every 10, 15, 20 years. You're forced to vote on everything and each part of it up and down. Right. If you could go back in time, and I feel like without the ability to change something like that, where it's forced, it's never going to happen. Right. What's the catalyst for something to happen, for something to change? There is no catalyst.
Let's talk about something good, because probably going to end the show here in a little bit, but I just wanted to.
Poor Kim's been going for 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Hey, it's not easy when you have to. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot.
Remember when you said you couldn't be a talk show host? I had to convince her.
Yeah,
to be a fill-in talk show.
You had to train me.
Okay, Joe and I. We went through. I was her Sherpa.
Talk show Sherpa.
During the commercial breaks. You could do it. You could do it, kid.
There is an Omicron booster, and apparently, they're saying now this booster shot protects against mild illness from other COVID subvariants. It's supposed to be like the shot to get. CDC officials saying the Pfizer and Moderna boosters reduce the risk from this new XBB subvariant by half.
Wow.
That's good. They say it varies with age. Seniors have a 42% risk. But this new the new Omicron, the new COVID vaccine booster is supposed to be very
Did you
successful.
see that research that they think they're near a breakthrough in figuring out how to stop all coronaviruses?
No.
Yeah, so instead of dealing with the spike proteins, it would deal with the core helix of the virus.
Right.
And it would be able to mitigate all coronaviruses. All, like everything.
Even the common cold.
Yeah.
So who's doing that research?
Who's having that conversation? Well, I'll have to Google it. But I saw it in the news. I saw it in the news a couple months ago.
Oh, okay. So it's an old story, but that's exciting.
But it's like emerging, tech news or medical news.
Yeah. No, I mean, imagine if you could cure the common cold and the coronavirus after all we've had to worry about. And I agree with something Mark Thompson had said a while back, which is that
happens every once in a while.
after Lisa Marie Presley passed away, he was saying that he thinks that COVID has some type of, not the vaccine, COVID itself has some type of effect on heart health. And I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Even people that work in the cardiology field are saying, yeah, it looks like it. So
It probably has to do with your genetic makeup.
yeah.
Just like some people don't seem to get corona or COVID. Have you had COVID?
I haven't.
I haven't had COVID. I should. I was on
Yeah.
BART every day for like a year and a half.
I mean, I sat in a studio at Station X with people who had it. You would think that I would have, and I didn't.
Yeah, we got every other colds working there. I've been in bars and clubs. I'm on the city with people coughing, on the sidewalk, and I haven't. I think a lot of it's genetic. Just like remember the early stories when they were like 20-somethings, like physically fit men who were like personal trainers.
Yeah.
And they died in like 48 hours. Like there's got to be a genetic component that they haven't figured out yet.
Yeah.
Right. There's a reason why their immune systems latch onto this.
Right.
And whereas other people haven't.
Either that or we're just super, super lucky.
Yeah, but there's also been older people who get it and then like it's nothing.
They're fine.
To them. Yeah. So there's got to be another component to this, right? It's not just age.
It would seem that you're right. But speaking of vaccines, they're trying to vaccinate honeybees. Did you know that?
No.
This is a story where researchers at the University of Georgia are trying to make life a little sweeter for honeybees.
Oh, I get it.
The
Sweeter.
Athens Banner Herald reports a team has joined forces with a locally based biotech company to develop what's considered the world's first honeybee vaccine. Its development came about after a certain virus was identified as causing higher mortality and colony collapse. The vaccine is going to be distributed through a sugary dough-like substance. So the
They
bees
do
will
love
eat
sugar.
it.
Wait, Honey Nut Cheerios?
No, it's not Honey Nut Cheerios.
Do you know there are no nuts in Honey Nut Cheerios?
That would make sense unless they're ground up or something.
They're
It's
not
a nutty cereal.
No, it's a flavoring. I feel like my whole life is a lie. I was like staring at the box this morning.
It's not true. But I like that. I mean, I guess some people would say, why are you messing with nature? If they
because we're already messing with nature.
Yeah.
We're the reason why, they don't have what they need to survive. We're the ones clear cutting the forest. We're the ones that are decimating all the
we're the ones spraying the pesticides all over the place that's killing them. Yeah. So at least someone's trying to do something, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of survival, I'll throw this one at you too. Scientists are set to reveal how close humanity is to Armageddon. Have you heard this one? This is the clock. The latest edition of the Doomsday Clock.
Are we 2 weeks?
Probably like 30 seconds to midnight at this point. The Doomsday Clock, the latest edition, is coming. It's set to come. I thought it was yesterday. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, a nonprofit organization of world leaders and Nobel laureates, announcing how close the world is to ending. They've been doing this for 75 years. The closer the clock is to hitting midnight, the closer the world is to doomsday. It was currently sitting at 100 seconds to midnight, but the Russian invasion of Ukraine is expected to push it even closer.
And the tanks.
Yeah, well, the tanks. I thought I saw an update on that story. I don't know how close we are to midnight. It just seems like,
Are they going to bring out Ryan Seacrest to keep us updated?
I don't know if he's going to take that job. How much it would take for him to update the Doomsday Clock.
He'll take it. He only wants 8 or 9 jobs. He stole Mark Thompson's job.
Oh, on American Idol, right?
Yeah. Mark was the voice of American Idol, and greedy Ryan Seacrest wanted it all. He didn't want to just host. He wanted to take the voiceover work, so he stole Mark Thompson's job, much like Spencer Christian.
Okay, so here's a beer for you for Super Bowl Sunday. Are you a big football fan?
Not really.
Yeah. Just in time for Super Bowl Sunday, Hormel and Minneapolis-based Modist Brewing, Modist, are releasing a unique Super Bowl beer. It is chili cheese beer. Yeah or nay? Yay or nay?
Like flavored or like infused?
I don't know.
There's not actual chili in it. It's just the flavor, I imagine.
A beer that tastes like chili cheese. It is inspired
Can't you just
by
make that at home?
chili cheese dip recipe.
I feel like you could make that at home. I feel like you could make that at home really easily.
Some beer, some chili powder.
Yeah, you get your guac. You're right there. Yeah, exactly. Or you could just eat. You could eat and drink your beer at the same time.
What would you, if someone walked up, if you were working at a bar and someone ordered chili cheese beer, would you see them differently?
Yes. Well, I was a bartender, and your bartender does judge you, in case you were wondering.
So what's the drinks that you, the most judged drink? Like if someone ordered...
An Adios.
What is
Adios
that?
Mother Effer is the full name.
Oh.
So it's a Long Island iced tea, but it has blue curacao in it. So if you see somebody walking around with like a blue pint,
right,
and with a cherry on top, that's an Adios. And what happens is it's got that extreme name. It's blue. Once you tell like a 21-year-old, like this is what you got to drink if you really want to get wasted.
Right.
It only takes seconds before they've all told each other like this is the drink to order. But basically what you're drinking is high fructose corn syrup and the equivalent of like rubbing alcohol in terms of alcohol quality.
I like a blue Hawaiian, and that has the blue curacao in it.
Right, but I mean that's okay. That's like a tropical drink, and that's got rum in it. So.
You're not going to judge me for that?
Yeah, I will.
What's the best drink someone could order to make you think, oh, they know what's going on?
Well, it depends on the bar you're in. Like I worked in clubs, so you're not going to get a lot of like scotch and whiskey,
right?
Drinkers. We did have people order some high end alcohol, and then like instead of like say Black Label, and instead of just like having it on the rocks, they would add Coca-Cola to it, and which is a waste of money, right? Because you're spending money for something expensive, and then you're just covering up the flavor with Coca-Cola. Our owner stopped carrying it, because it was offending him. But yeah, like a tequila drinker or a vodka drinker, whatever. I mean, you're only going to get judged if you ask for something super fruity and,
That's me, super fruity.
Or if you order by color. I had people come up and ask, like, do you have yellow? I'm like, what? Like,
yellow what?
Like the yellow drink.
Oh.
Yellow drink. So if
Just
you order like that,
sure.
we might pull out the picture menu for you so you can just point.
Speaking of offensive, I just saw this story that Oreo is dropping what they call the most Oreo this week.
Dropping it, or as in like releasing it?
Yes, releasing it.
No.
Yeah, sorry, that's DJ speak for it's now on sale. For people apparently that can't get enough Oreo, here is the Oreo of all Oreos for you. They take two Oreo cookies, and they put a huge amount of cream in the middle. But unlike a double stuffed cookie,
yeah, I was going to say, isn't that double stuffed?
That's it? Yeah. No, the cream has little chunks of Oreo cookie in it as well.
Again,
so it's like,
can't we just get
Oreo within an Oreo within an Oreo?
Can't we get to this by just chewing?
I don't know. It goes on sale January 30th. So
I feel like if you don't have enough Oreo, then you put the second Oreo in your mouth.
You could have the most Oreo along with your high fructose Adios,
Adios
MFR, and be all right. I was trying to get to that story about the lady because I was doing the mom beat today about the lady who had a 16-pound baby by C-section, and Paris Hilton having a baby.
I was telling you it's more like D-section. Like, where did I park my baby? Got to go down one more floor.
This one is every mom's worst nightmare. A lady that gave birth on an airplane. Shouldn't have been on the plane, ma'am. It's what happened.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, right?
No, you get to a certain point where they don't advise you to fly.
Yeah.
But maybe you got to for whatever reason. This lady was aboard an Emirates flight from Tokyo to Dubai last week. The airline telling CNN crew members helped her deliver her baby during that 12-hour overnight flight. Flight from hell is what they should call it. Both the mother and the newborn in stable condition when that plane touched down.
And the flight attendants did it with style, right? Don't they have to wear like high heels?
They do on Emirates.
I'm just imagining they've got their, the fancy hat, the old school hat. Yeah,
they have to. They really have to get to it. And one more plane story. Apparently, there is a man who is in jail now, and we've seen these stories before. I thought this was a thing of the past. But this guy arrested for pointing a laser at several aircraft in Southern California. They're going to pinpoint you. They're going to figure out where you are doing that. First of all, why would you? And second of all, they're going to find you. Don't be an idiot.
I imagine it's probably like teenagers or young 20-somethings, males.
People who just don't get it, who don't know that they can
immature
triangulate your
brains.
Area.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that is scary. I mean, it's, I don't know, maybe it's as bad. It's, remember when people were like shooting at people on the freeway?
Yeah.
Obviously that in an immediate sense is much worse. Yeah, that's kind of scary, right? Because you don't know it's coming, right? You're just driving down the street or you're flying in an airplane.
Yeah, and you're putting so many people at risk by doing that. I don't know. Okay, so I want to thank you for being here because you're amazing and I love you and you know that I love you. And so thank you for hanging out with me. I might call on you again because I love to spend time with you. But I do want to take a few minutes before we go to thank some people who have donated. Andreas, yet again, with another $20 for the Nikki Maduro
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
Oh, yes. Please do the drops. I love it when you do that.
Thank you so much.
Andreas, again, Kim and everyone else. Thanks again for all your prayers.
Thank you.
Yes, Andreas, we're totally thinking of you with your mom in the hospital and everything going on with your family. Thank you for taking the time to give to this family. We appreciate that very much. And let's see, I also had a couple more in here. It was Lori from Above the Bar in honor of Andreas and his mom.
Lori.
That is nice.
I'm not going to cry.
I am.
Oh, you cried earlier, didn't you?
Thank you. Jim Avila made me cry. He was talking about KGO and I got all emotional.
See, I just get angry.
You do? I get sad.
Yeah, but we signed NDAs, so can't really talk about how wonderful the Cumulus Broadcasting Corporation is. I can say that. I could say it's the greatest experience, and I'm just honored that I was able to work there for 2 years under that management. And thank you for the very generous severance package that got me through the end of the month.
Wes for $10. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate it. Very kind of you to donate.
Isn't there a British thank you?
Can you
do a British?
Thank you. I don't know. Andreas, again, thank you for all your prayers. Yes, we are thinking of you. And again, with Lori Above the Bar, thinking of you too. And it really has become like a little family here.
And what if Andreas' like mouse button has gotten stuck? He's like accidentally clicking his mouse button. He's like accidentally clicking over and over again. He means
to do it. He's just really kind. So yeah, no, he means that. We are grateful for any and all donations. So again, it is the NikkiMadoroShow.com where you can PayPal it, Patreon it, and then the super chat here, and we will acknowledge that and thank you so much for all of your contributions.
So
yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for being here on the show with me, John Daly. I wish I could we should start a third show and do it together.
Mark's going to be so mad when he finds out I was on camera.
I know. He's going to be really mad.
He's going to be really mad.
And look how cute you are, too. Oh, and we get to watch TV and you at the same time. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So thank you for being here, John Daly. We love you. And thank you very much for everyone else for being here as well. I'm very grateful for all the participation in the chat today. You guys are extra awesome. And as we think about Nikki and Marley going through what they're going through today, please throw out some good vibes into the universe.
Yeah, my thoughts are with Marley. Well. I went through not the same thing, but a similar situation where I was in the hospital for 3 days for something not the same, but similar. And it's extremely painful. And I can't imagine going through that as a kid.
Yeah, at 13. So it's a rough ride.
She's really strong. So
Nikki will probably be out the rest of the week, and I will be filling in, trying to make it work. So thank you for that. And let's end the show with Jacob. Why don't we? Here he is.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.